Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in southern Tasmania. This is the tutorial video for my March-April 2023 product class, and for this class we actually feature the Ready to Ride Designer Series paper. So if you've purchased the full kit, you'll get your card kits plus a full pack of the Ready to Ride Designer Series paper. This one, at the time of recording, this is March 2023. This one will retire at the end of April 2023. So if you love it, jump online and grab it as soon as you can. So this is my wrapping piece of the culmination of several pieces, the leftovers put together in one bag. So I've really enjoyed this paper for the time we've had it in the mini catalogue. So that's our paper. You should have that, as I say, if you've bought the full class, you'll have a full pack of paper. If you've just bought the kits, I'm assuming that you have this one already and you're going to cut the designer series paper from your own stash, because I haven't included any paper in your kits. So just pop that down. Forgive the crash. Okay, so here are our three cards. We've got two here that are more of a traditional Father's Day, Father's Birthday, masculine birthday type card. So these two. And we've got the middle one, which I really like, strangely. But I'd probably suggest this one for maybe the grunge rock teenage girl in your life, or something like that. Someone who has that sort of slightly Nirvana type lean to her personality. I really quite like it. So, or anyone really who likes that sort of orange and black sort of shiny look. But I really, yes, as I say, I really like that one. And I've got a couple of people in my family who will probably get these ones after we've finished. I'm going to do all three cards in the one video. I usually do a video each, but because I'm doing a couple of classes this month and a couple of videos, I thought I'd pop them all together and into the one video. So if you're doing it a different order, just scroll through till you find the cards you need. What I'll do is I will pause for a wee minute with the card that we're going to be doing alone on the screen, and then you know when you're scrolling through that that's where you need to start. I may even pop the time, what they call it, time labels, time tags in the comments, so you can you scroll right through to where you need to be. Okay, so I think we'll do this one first. This is our motorbike card here. So if you haven't got a motorbike rider in your family, you can swap that image out. It's just been fussy cut from the design series paper. Swap it out for an old-fashioned car or something like that would probably be just as effective. I know we've got some other designer series paper with cards in it in the current catalogue, or you've got an image that you can stamp and cut out. Just a car would be quite relevant, a plane, anything like that would suit your recipient. I really like this fold. We've done this type of fold before, but they've usually been sort of like a portrait fold. So it's actually a gatefold card here. And this little tricky piece of cardstock here is actually the sun's coming through there, is actually a sort of a locking mechanism. I think they actually call it a slip lock card. And usually, as I say, the slip block comes down from top to bottom, or bottom to top, whichever way you roll, and sits in like that. But with this one, we've got our motorbike heading horizontally across the card. So it's actually a portrait, a landscape card. So that's the way it's meant to be admired, with it slipping this way. Of course, on display, it's probably going to end up being flipped on its side anyway, with the motorbike sitting next to it. But you know, that's neither here nor there. It looks cool. In my view, it looks cool this way. Okay, so in your pack for this particular card, you will have the card base and all the bits and pieces. You will need to cut yourself some designer series paper, and I will pop the measurements in the PDF, so don't be too concerned if you miss them here. Obviously, you need a motorbike or some sort of image that you've cut from the designer series paper or stamped. You need a strip of the sort of like the Route 66 landscape from the designer series paper. This is 1 7/8 by 5 3/8. So that's going to fit on the front top. And then you want another one with the tie tread, and that's the same measurements, 1 7/8 by 5 3/8. Now, if you're redoing these cards at a later stage, you might like to experiment and make the top flap slightly larger than the bottom one. These are exactly the same, they meet in the middle. But if you made the top one slightly larger, bring it down here, you'd have less tire and more landscape, which might fit the image of your motorbike a little bit more. Don't go too far down because obviously your motorbike can't go further than the bottom of the card. But yeah, have a wee bit of a play and see if you'd like to change it around a bit. So anyway, they're our designer series paper. And for each card, so if you've got a kit, you should have enough for 2 cards. In each for each card, you will also have 2 pieces of very vanilla cardstock. So for your whole kit, you should have 4. So you should have 2 per card. Now that's forming our tricky little mechanism there. You'll also have wonderful, wonderful, wonderful embossed silver foil. This is using the designer series, the embossing folder that comes with the kit, matches the suite. So really, really good. Its name actually, I think it's metallic plate or something like that, but it's really nice. I'm going to be using it even once it retires. Another piece of black cardstock for that little mechanism. Your card base, which is basically a gatefold, and a piece of very vanilla for the inside. So we might make a start on this. Oh, and a little slither for your sentiment. Now I've left that a little bit longer than you might need, just so that whatever sentiment you use, you can cut it down. So that's where your sentiment box there. Okay, so let's just move some of these things out of the way and we'll start with our card. What I might do is do the card base first. So I'm going to pop the insert inside, because that's what it's called, an insert. It's early in the morning. I've only had 1 coffee, so the bad jokes may come. Okay, so that's the very vanilla panel for inside. Then we'll pop our, deciding which is the top and which is the bottom, we'll pop our designer series paper where we need it. So a little bit of a hint, if you haven't cut it already, a wee bit of a hint with this designer series paper that's got the embossed, sort of clear embossed images on one side and the flat images on the other. Cut it with the matte side, so this side, the not shiny side. Cut it with the matte side up. Now, I don't know whether I was imagining things, but every time I tried to cut it with my trimmer with the shiny side up, it always sort of tended to rip and pull. But if I flipped it over so that the matte side was up, it seemed to cut cleaner. So yeah, so see what your experiences are there. It just didn't rip. It sort of would always just, I don't know, just be a bit ratty around the corners or something. It was, I suppose, because it's toughened by that that shiny, whatever the shiny material is. Just a bit too much glue there, but that's what you expect from Julianne. And there we are. So that's our scene and our tie tread on our card there. So that's the card base pretty much done. We can pop that aside for the moment. We'll get to our tricky little mechanism. So what you need to do is grab the 2 pieces of very vanilla designer series paper and your scoring tool, whatever scoring tool you use. These are 2 inches wide. So I need you to score them lengthways in the middle, so at 1 inch. So score them just down the middle like that and do both of them. Okay. So one of them, just score it and don't actually make it too pronounced, just a little bit. You don't want it to be a right angle. the other one you need to make the bend a bit more pronounced. That's what you need to do with that. And then the mechanism itself is fairly simple. You basically just take the black piece of cardstock that I've given you, that's actually a wee bit larger than these. You need to, I've got to remind myself now. You take the one that, now, okay, let me show you. The two pieces are here. So this one here that's really, really bent in half is this one, the one that we've bent more, and the one that we bent a little bit, not too much, is the one that's on top. So what you need to do is grab one and bend it in half completely. Then you pop glue on just one side of it. It's a new glue. It's coming out really gluggy. Just on one side of it. Flip it over and pop it on your piece of black card. So this is the back of the black cardstock. Okay. So there we are. And then this one, this is the not so bent one. You put glue on all of that. Which one are we going to do it this way? On all of that one. Flip it over and it goes over the top. Okay, so you've got that mechanism there. Oh no, I've done it wrong. No, you only put glue on half of it. Oh gosh. No, okay guys, I'm going to have to cut myself another one. So please, I hope you're watching this video before you plow on and do it. I've done that slightly wrong. So I've got to grab another piece of very vanilla cardstock and cut myself another couple of 2 by... I would start again, but I've already used all that paper. 2 by 4, yeah. 2 by 4. Best laid plans, guys. 2 by 4. And then we'll score both of them down the middle. I'm also going to need another piece of black because I've already done that. Should have practiced beforehand, shouldn't I? Okay, another piece of black. Now the black is 2 1/4. I'll find a scrap of black now. Black. Okay, a scrap of black. Sorry guys, I've walked away from the mic. So the black needs to be 2 1/4 by 4 1/4. At least you'll get to see how the kits are put together. Okay, let's give this another go. Okay, so one of these needs to be folded completely in half and burnished to a tight fold corner. And the other one doesn't need to be glued at all, and it just needs to have the score in it and nothing else. So what we'll do first of all, and this is much easier, I should have thought before I started, you need to pop some glue on half of your tightly scored panel, and then just attach that to half of your other one. Okay, apologies about that. So you get sort of like a T. See there, you've got a T. So that's the tightly scored one. That's the one that's scored but not folded. And the two edges, in the edge and the top and the bottom line up exactly. So that's what you want. Then bring in your black. Gosh, I'm a duffer. You bring in your black. So you fold the part of your fold that's the tight fold one, folds in, and you add glue just to that side. So just there. Okay. So just on that side, flip it over on the back of your black panel, line it up so that the edges, you've got the same border of black all the way around, a bit hard against the dark green, and firm it down. Okay, so you've got the same border all the way around, and it's glued only on half. So it's glued only on half. So there we are. You can score that up a bit now. So it's glued only on half, and you've got that little bit that opens there. So when you look at it, it looks a bit like an X. See now? There it looks like an X. So you've got your heavily scored one there. It's glued to the black on one side and the other piece on the other. So it's glued on two sides. Then the only lightly scored one is free there. It's not glued to the black, but it's glued to the other side of the tightly scored one. Okay, that's how you create that little mechanism. Apologies for that bum steer I gave you before. And then as you see, when you open your card, the two parts of your X, one part of the X goes down that side and the other part of the X goes down the other side and holds it in place. I won't do that now because I want my glue to set before I do anything too crazy with it. But we can flip it over and we can decorate this while we're waiting for the glue to dry. Okay, so you've got your piece of embossed silver foil, and I'm going to glue that onto the front of our black. There we are. Okay, and then our motorbike on some dimensionals on top of that. Motorbike or car or plane or whatever image you've decided on for this one. Okay, so just in the center, sort of line it up with the bottom of the design of the foil, the wheels, the bottom of the wheels in line with the bottom of the foil, so it looks like it's traveling along that tie thread when we bring it all together. Okay, sentiment. So I'm going to use the sentiments from the die, from the stamp set Legendary Ride, which is the stamp set that goes with the paper. I'm going to use You Are Legendary because that fits that nice long one. It would be quite easily fit something like a nice long happy birthday or something like that. Depends what you've got at home. Forgive me while I got a bit close to the mic. Pop that one on there, just in black ink. Haven't got the sticker on that. This could be interesting. There we are. Well, that should be a bit higher than that. Flip it over. Paper has two sides. I'll bring that a bit closer to me just while I get my head over the top of it. Just forgive me for a second, guys. Put the sticker on that. Makes it a bit tricky without the sticker. So there we are. You Are Legendary. That's a lot better. I'm going to bring in my banner punch to banner the ends of that. If you don't want to banner it, that's fine. Or you just use the pair of scissors to cut the banners. Totally cool either way. Why do manually what you've got a good, perfectly good punch to do. And then we're going to pop this. We're going to use some sentiment, some dimensionals again. Now it's going to, if you check the original, I'll bring it in. It's going to overhang that. Depending on what sentiment you use, of course, if you use a nice little short one, it might just end there and you'll be fine. Mine's quite long, so it does overhang a wee bit. So I'm not going to obviously put any dimensionals further than the end. So I'll just do a bit of an experiment. So So I don't want to cover over my sentiment too much. Mine's going to sit like that. So I'm not going to put any dimensionals past the D. Where's the D there? Pop last dimensional there. Okay, bring that in. Tuck it under my motorbike slightly. There we are. You are legendary, depending on how you say that. Okay, so let's bring our card back in. There's our card. Again, as I say, one part of our mechanism slips on one side of the card, the other one slips into the other, and then it slips along like that. And it holds the card closed, just with that, lightly, with that little mechanism there. Okay, so that's card number 1. No bling for this one, because obviously with slipping that on and off, the bling might get in the way. But there's enough bling in that silver foil, I think, to keep us all going quite happily. Okay, so that's card number 1. Eventually. Apologies about that. Anyway, as I always say, watch my videos before you plough on with the cards, because you never know what excitement might happen. And it did. Okay, so I'm sure the next few will be a lot smoother, I promise. There we go. So watch that bit about the X, making the X a couple of times before you come in, and then I'm sure you'll be fine with that one. Okay, cool. So that's card number 1. So let's pop that one aside and forget about it forever. No, actually not. I like that one. That's really nice. It's just a little bit different. Okay, card number 2. I think we'll do the this one here for card number 2. This is a really cool one, and it's entirely up to you. You can actually just leave it as a plain card, which flips open like that and open like that. Or you can pop a piece of designer series paper or cardstock in here and turn it into a gift card holder. So that's entirely up to you. I've got a couple of videos on my website where I've actually done that. I'm just going to leave this one as a plain card. The backing colour is pumpkin pie. We've done some fussy cutting from the designer series paper, and we've got another sentiment from the Legendary Ride stamp set there. So let's get on with this one. Again, all the measurements are in the PDF, so please pop there if you're unsure as far as what measurements of the designer series paper that you will need. But anyway, in your card base, in your card kit, you'll have a card base like this one. It's already folded and it's cut, and it's had the hole cut into it, the hole. Now, you might find when you fold this closed, it's not quite, doesn't fold exactly straight. So you've got 2 choices. You can either cut a slither, just a wee slither off that end so it doesn't butt up so hard there, or force it with a bit of brute force and burnish it at this end so that it's flat. So it might mean that the score line moves a wee bit, but it's only a tiny bit. So now you see that one's a lot flatter than it was before. So you either, if you need to, you either take a wee bit off there, just like a slither, or you burnish it closed, force it closed with your bone folder at that end. That's up to you, which way you go. Okay, so let's start this one. The thing to do with this one is to pop the designer series paper on first, or at least this square piece. So this one here with the check is going to go on the front of the card. So when it's all folded up, you've got the hole in there. Make sure you've got the hole in there. Fold it up. This is the piece here that's going to have the designer series paper. So pop that on. So you need to pop this on first, because otherwise you're not going to be able to do the really cool thing with the circle. So pop that piece of designer series paper on first. What you can then do is get this other one with the nuts and bolts, and it's going to go on the front. And you might look at it and go, Julianne, you've covered over your semicircle. And we have. So we have to recut. Once we've got this on, we have to recut that circle. And I'll show you how to do it. Well, if you've got a punch, it's nice and easy. But if not, I'll show you how to do it without a punch. Okay, so what we're going to do for here is pop the glue actually on the design on the cardstock. Okay, don't go too close to the edges because you're going to have a tiny border that you don't want glue on, and bring in your designer series paper. Okay, and that way you haven't got any glue on this little bit that's showing through. That's going to get mucky and everywhere, except when it does, which it always does. There we go. Okay, so now we need to cut this piece out, this little piece here. So if you were lucky enough to grab in the online or from previous catalogues or from the recent online exclusive, you managed to get the 2-inch punch. It's relatively easy. Just pop it through. It's exactly how I've done it. Line it up with the existing circle. So you can't see the orange round there. You just re-punch in the hole exactly where it is and give it a good punch. And that semicircle of designer series paper will come out. If you don't have the punches, you're going to have to grab a pair of scissors or a craft knife and actually cut it out. That's not too bad. But do have to stay as close to the edge as you can, because this is going to stop if you've got any overlap, it'll stop your card from closing properly. So just, as I say, with a craft knife or scissors. Just following the edge of that designer series paper. Okay, and that's cut out. Okay. Trim it up if you've gone a bit off the edge like me. You could also, if you line it up before you glue it, you could put a pencil mark in there and cut it separately before you add it to the card. I've just realised that that might be a little bit easier, but I did it this way in the original, so when I've used my punch as well. So as I say, if you've got the punch, just bring it in, line it up and punch it out, which is what I've just done there. That's how you would do that if you had the punch. There we are. Or a die. If you've got a 2-inch wide die, do that as well. You could use the die. But as I say, scissors just as good, just cutting around that line there. Okay, so what we've got now is that. Okay, so now we're going to pop, we might pop we've got a central piece of, very vanilla cardstock, which is going to go on the inside. So this is for our personal message. And as I say, if you want to turn it into a card, a gift card holder, you can pop another little pocket in there, which you've probably seen me do a million times. Okay, so that's that. So now with the fun bit is this part here with the circles. So you've got an orange or pumpkin pie piece of cardstock, and it fits into that hole exactly. So the hole that we made when we cut, it fits into there. And then we've got a 1 3/4 inch circle, which is going to sit in the middle of that, and that's what we're going to put our sentiment on. Okay, so we might do, I'll show you how to do the big orange circle first. So what you need to do is grab your card base, flick this down, so you've got a half circle gap showing there, and then we're going to glue that other circle so that it fills the gap, so to speak. So half of it is on the designer series paper and half of it is filling that gap. Okay, so we only need to put glue on the bottom half, the part that's on the designer series paper, because we want the other bit to swing free. And that's what we're after there. So when you close that up, too much glue again, if you close that up, it slips through the gap. See? And it should fit perfectly in that hole as well, but either way, it slips through when you open the card like that. Okay. There we are. So just fiddle it a wee bit so it slips through and cleanly that way. So that's our card base there. We're going to pop a sentiment on here. Again, I'm going to use the Legendary Ride. I'm going to use Dad, you are the coolest. And he was. In a daggy-dag sort of way, aren't they? Bring that onto the circle. Bring that a little bit closer again so I can get over the top. Apologies. It's a bit hard to be over the top and record at the same time. That'll do. Dad, you are the coolest. That's going to pop onto our circle. Like so. Hopefully straight-ish. There we are. And together they will slip through your circle and sit on the outside like that, which is mega cool. Okay, so that's that. So to decorate this, you can use whatever images you like. I've fussy cut some images from the designer series paper. So I've got a old-fashioned looking biker jacket, like a roll, a camping roll, a tent roll or a sleeping roll, and an old-fashioned motorcycle helmet. Now, the other one, I had the more modern-looking leather jacket, the more modern-looking helmet, and a different sleep roll. I thought, well, if you had no sort of modern-day bike riders in the family, you may have, like I did, a grandfather who used to tell you stories about his adventures on his old motorbike. So this would be perfect for him, like the old-fashioned leather jacket, the old-fashioned helmet, and the sleep roll. That might fit somebody who's giving you, tales of their misspent youth, something like that. And I've got a boot as well. I'm going to pop that inside. Okay, so I'm going to pop these on the front. So I'm going to start with the jacket. The funny story with my grandfather, who kept us laughing and in disbelief with his stories of his motorbike adventures. And then if you listen to my grandmother, his wife, the truth of the story was that he had the motorbike for less than a year, came off, hurt himself, so she made him sell it not long before the kids were born. So yes, it depends who you're talking to sometimes when it comes to grandparent stories. So I'm just going to pop the leather jacket and the helmet and the bedroll on the front, just like that. Okay. You could also pop, I know the same designer series paper has tools and gloves and lots of other images that you could use if you didn't want to use the jackets and the helmets. Or as I say, with the first card, you could always just swap out something else that's more appropriate from a different stamp set or designer series paper. Okay, and then I've got the little boot on the inside, so I'll pop another message in there. Okay, so there we are. That's card number 2. So we've got our older fashioned version and our more contemporary one as well. So there you are. Okay, so that's, as I say, card number 2. Enjoy that one. If you want to watch that card being made in a different format. I've got a couple of videos on my YouTube channel where I make a very similar card. Okay, so let's do card number 3. My favourite. Really, really nice looking, quite complicated looking. We've got the sun come through there, but it hasn't quite got down to my working surface yet. So, so we've got a piece of the same wonderful embossed foil. And this panel here, which is from the designer series paper, it's actually just cut straight. There's a whole piece that's got different scenes and different images. So they're all just to be cut down. They can be used for scrapbooking or card making, whatever you prefer. So I've cut that down. And the wonderful piece of the designer series paper that has those glossy roses. So like perfect for a more feminine card from this same designer series paper. Okay, so in your kit you will have, well, in your kit you won't have, but in your kit you'll have the card base, a very vanilla insert, the wonderful foil embossed already, some another piece of black to back that lovely rose image ribbon. So this is the sparkly or glittery organdy ribbon. I've run out. I love it so much, but I've got some more on order. So I love this one. It sort of adds a bit of femininity to the grungy look. I've got some bling, or it's not bling, it's black matte dots and a circle for your sentiment there. So we'll come to that in a minute. Okay, so what we're going to do is layer up our card. Make sure I do this one without any problems. Okay, so first of all, we're going to glue the black glossy designer series paper straight to your card base. Like so. So just straight on there. I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way up with this one, but it's up to you. We'll pop the one on the inside as well, just so we don't lose it. Or I don't lose it. Okay, so that's that. Then what we're going to do is we'll bring in the black piece of cardstock and the rose image. Now this one I think would have a wrong way and a right way. You can see the larger rose looks up. I think that's probably the up that you would use. Entirely up to you, of course. So we'll glue that to the smaller piece of black, or the black layer, just like that. Okay. Now that is going to sit in the centre of our card. As such, glue didn't go into that corner. It's not like me. I usually glue to excess, don't I? So I'll glue that down. I mustn't have taken it all the way. Okay, so this one, we're going to bring our piece of silver foil across, so horizontally across the card, roughly in the middle. So just across the middle of the card. Now you may decide you can glue this one, but I actually think I'm going to put it on double-sided tape just so it doesn't curl up. Just popping it through the embossing folder can curl it a wee bit. So your best judgment there, whatever you think's a fair thing. If yours is a wee bit curly, use the double-sided tape or snail rather than the glue. So across the centre of the card, roughly halfway, straight if you can. There we are. Okay, you can see my camera there, it's so shiny. Okay, so this one we're going to bring it in, we're going to pop it on some dimensionals just to give it a bit of height. And this one's nearly done. Not much to this one at all, it's just all the work's done for you by the beautiful paper. So across the middle of your foil, it might break your heart to actually cover that beautiful foil and that beautiful paper. It does mine sometimes. Just like that. So good. I'll keep it down there because we've got lots of sun up here. It's all on the shirt. I can see it coming through. I'm a little bit earlier than normal, so the sun's just a bit lower than normally coming in, but I've got a couple of videos to do, so I thought I'd come on a bit earlier. Okay, with your ribbon, you should have enough to do 2 quite generous bows. So pop that on. So I think you've got at least 20 inches or 18 inches, something like that. So you should get 2 bows out of it quite easily. There we are. Trim that off. And that's going to sit on our card base like this. Okay, but we're going to do our sentiment first. So you've got a little circle. This is a little stitched circle from the Stylish Shapes die set. Yes, die set. I'm going to use, because there's nothing really relevant and nothing really appropriate in our Legendary Ride, so I'm going to use the framed florets. I love this for someone special on a special day. It seems to fit any occasion and any sentiment box, which is always a good thing, if you ask me. Although mine needs a bit of a clean, it's lost its stickiness a bit. Clean it off with some warm water, it'll be fine. It's a good thing with nice, good quality stamps. They always bounce back. So I'll pop this one just in there. Again, I'm just using black ink. It's a good thing I'm just about to finish off. I think the sun's reaching a certain level where it's going to be straight onto my work surface in about 2 minutes flat. So I'm going to glue this one. We've already got dimensionals underneath the panel, so we might just glue this one straight. And again, we seem to be covering over the best bits of this card. Straight just there in the middle of our little flowers. You can see enough of it around the side. I think that's really nice. Then we'll grab a glue dot, just before the sun comes and ruins everything. It's nice to see a bit of autumn sun. I grab a glue dot. That just on the sort of edge of that sentiment. There we are. Isn't that good? I have to hold it down there because if I take it up too close, you won't be able to see it. And in the middle here, you won't be able to see it. So I'll keep it down there. Okay, last thing to do before we turned up by the sun, I can close the blinds, I suppose. That would be the logical thing to do, is to add your little bling, your little matte black dots. And I'm just going to add those around our little image there. Okay, there we are. And that one's done. I can't bring it closer. I'll just close that blind. I think it's coming through this one. Hang on, bear with me and I can bring it nice and close and you can see. Hopefully my lights will now take over rather than the sunshine. Yes, that's better. Okay, so there we are. So that's card number 3. Yeah, I've got to say that's my favourite, to be honest. Quite like that one. As I say, I've got a couple of nieces that would definitely appreciate that colour scheme. Okay, so that's the 3 cards for my Ready to Ride class. Hopefully, as I say, you've watched the video before you plough in, so you don't make the same mistake as me in that first card. But anyway, we'll get there. Okay, so that's card number 3. So that's our 3 cards. I hope you really enjoyed this class. I know I enjoyed designing it. The cards seem to make themselves, to be honest. It's such a great designer series paper. As I say, if you like that designer series paper or the stamp set or the dies, please grab them before they go. At this stage, they're scheduled to retire at the end of April or first week in May. So, yeah, grab those. Yes, I think this one's going to be a keeper for me as well. Even though we don't have any motorbike riders as such, I really like that. Those sentiments and everything are quite nice. Okay, so great. Thanks very much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope I will see you back next time. Okay, bye.